It was the kind of evening where the sky looked tired, washed with soft shades of lavender and fading blue, the kind of sky that felt heavy with memories. Margaret Turner stood quietly in front of the old house on Willow Lane, her hands trembling slightly as she held the iron key that had lived on her keyring for 47 years. Tonight would be her last night here, and tomorrow morning the house would no longer belong to her. Before I take you deeper, where are you listening from? I'd really love to know. She exhaled shakily, turned the key, and stepped inside. The door made the same low creak it had made since the 70s, a tired, familiar sound. The house smelled of old wood, warm dust, and echoes of laughter that lived in the walls. No furniture remained, no curtains, no framed photos. Only the house itself stood, bare, but somehow still breathing. If you're still here listening, thank you. Stay with me. Margaret closed the door behind her and felt the air shift around her, like the house recognized her one last time. She ran her fingers along the wallpaper in the hallway, faded now, peeling in places, but still carrying the brownish yellow marks from the day she and Thomas painted it together. He spilled paint everywhere. She yelled. Then he kissed her until she forgot she was mad. She smiled faintly. That memory still tasted warm. Tell me something. Does this remind you of someone you once cared about? She walked slowly into the living room. Her footsteps echoed, soft and lonely. She could almost see it as it once was. The sofa pushed against the wall, the coffee table with its chipped corner, the lamp Thomas kept promising to fix but never did. She could almost hear the jazz music they played on Sunday mornings while cooking breakfast. She closed her eyes. And for a moment, she wasn't 72. She was 25, barefoot, laughing, loved. If stories like this touch you too, just let me know in the comments. She moved deeper into the house, her hand brushing the doorway, where a faint pencil line still remained. She leaned in to read the faded writing. Emma, age 5. Her breath caught. Their daughter, their little girl who only lived long enough to color the house with tiny fingerprints and loud giggles. She whispered her daughter's name, voice shaking. Emma. If this moment touches your heart, stay with me. Margaret walked into the kitchen next. It looked so small now, stripped of life, but she could still smell the cinnamon from Thomas's favorite apple pie. He used to say it tasted better when she was angry while making it. She laughed quietly at the thought. Then her eyes landed on the spot by the counter, the exact place where she found him collapsed 11 years ago. The memory hit her in the chest, sharp and deep. She placed a hand on the counter for balance. You doing okay? Take a breath. We're going deeper, she whispered. I'm sorry I wasn't here sooner. I should have been home. Her voice cracked. She had forgiven herself 1,000 times, but regret is a stubborn companion. If you've ever held on to something like that, I feel you. Slowly she climbed the staircase, each step creaking loudly in the quiet house. At the top, she turned left, toward their bedroom. The room was empty, but she could still see the outlines of the life they had built inside it. The drawers where Thomas kept letters he never mailed. The corner where she kept her unfinished knitting. The window where she watched him leave every morning, waving until he turned the corner. If you're still here with me, you're part of this story now. She sat on the floor, her back against the wall, letting silence wrap around her. After a few minutes, she saw it. A small wooden box tucked behind the closet door, as if hidden on purpose. She frowned gently. She didn't remember leaving anything behind. With slow fingers, she reached for it, the wood cold and slightly damp from time. She opened the lid. Inside was a cassette tape, old, dusty, labeled in Thomas's handwriting, "For Margaret, when you're ready." Her breath stopped. "And you listening right now? What would you do if you found a message from someone you loved?" Her hand shook as she carried the tape downstairs to the living room, where the old tape player sat, the only thing she hadn't removed yet. She placed the tape inside, pressed play, and waited. There was static first, a low hum, then his voice, soft, tired, familiar. "Margaret, if you're hearing this, it means I didn't get the chance to say everything I wanted." She covered her mouth, eyes overflowing. "I've made mistakes," his voice continued, "more than I ever admitted. And I know I wasn't always the man you deserved. I should have been gentler. I should have listened more. I should have told you every day how much you saved me." Margaret leaned forward, tears falling freely. "If I could relive this life again, I'd choose you in every version of it. If you're still listening, thank you for staying with me," he continued. "There's something I never told you, something I was too afraid to say. The day Emma died, you blamed yourself, but it wasn't your fault, and it wasn't mine either. I carried that guilt silently, thinking I was protecting you from more pain, but all I did was bury my own." Margaret sobbed, her entire body trembling. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "for the silence, for the walls, for every moment I couldn't hold you when you needed me. But know this, you were the love of my life, Margaret Turner, and leaving you was the one thing I didn't want to do." She pressed her forehead to the tape player. "If you can, forgive me." The tape clicked to an end. The house was quiet again. "If this moment hit you, stay with me a little longer." She stayed on the floor for a while, letting his words settle inside her chest like warm rain. For the first time in years, her heart felt lighter. She wiped her tears and stood slowly, walking to the front door. It was still raining outside, soft now, almost like a blessing. Margaret stepped outside, turned back to the house that held her entire life, and whispered, "Thank you for everything. And if you made it here to the very end, tell me where you're watching from, and let me know if you want more stories like this. You being here means more than you know."